Welcome back. It's your girl AJ, Suburban Princess here. End of 2021, back with my 5 questions. Someone who I basically started all this with during quarantine, one of my very, very, very fun friends. I should say through Twitter first, but I'm going to say she's always been a friend to me, I think, in spirit. But we've done this a lot more than any people on my YouTube channel. So, welcome again, my girl, Chante.
Thank you for having me, AJ. How you been?
Good, good. I'm like you. I'm probably well, I'm not like you in the sense I've been busy, but I'm ready for this year to be over, that's for sure. But not in the same way that I was ready last year for it to be over. I just think I'm ready to start something new in 2022. So
Right.
you're the perfect person to talk to right now because Shantae been mad busy, y'all. She been doing a lot of good stuff.
Yes,
So
I am.
we're not even going to consider this a 5 questions, but I'm going to put it under 5 questions because I will ask her questions later. But I want Shantae to give everybody a feel of how busy and what events she's been into because she's been doing a lot of stuff and not even just with the Eagles Autism. She's been doing a lot of different things to promote her books, to promote a lot of different speaking events. So top it off, Shantae. Tell me how 2021 year has been for you in terms of doing events and I don't know, just I don't know, being out there in the community and the public.
Yeah, you know what? Because we all went through it last year with 2020 and how COVID really just shifted everything, right? And it took a toll on everybody mentally. I really was going through it last year mentally, had a couple really bad PTSD episodes, anxiety was at an all-time high. This year, well, let me go back. Last year, I started writing a book that I had plans on promoting and putting out this year, and I did that in April of this year. And I wanted to do that because I wanted to start the year off with healing because we all been through so much in 2020. I wanted to start 2021
Mm-hmm.
with just some positivity. So that's when I wrote "Are You Okay?" a story by Echo Boy to kind of help the youth because we kind of overlook kids and how they're processing everything.
Yep.
And, so much negativity in the world right now. You got police brutality, you got craziness going on with the vaccines, and COVID is taking people out left and right, and everything's
School
become like a
shootings again.
political.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Philly is at an all-time high with the homicide. Like, it's a lot,
Yes.
and none of us are really checking in with the kids to make sure, are our kids handling this okay? Do they have a safe space to talk about their feelings?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I really wanted to put that book out to kind of just help kids, to let them know it's okay not to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
The response that I've gotten so far with that book has been amazing. A couple parents have reached out to me and just said, the book is very comforting. My kids enjoyed. I even sent a copy to my son's school, to Levi's school,
Mm.
and the kids loved it. The first thing that they asked was, "Well, why is Levi's superhero name Echo Boy?" So then I had emailed, his teacher, to explain. But that's what I really wanted. I wanted to
Right.
spark conversations with people who may not necessarily come across people with autism, so that they
Right.
can be more aware,
Right.
because awareness then leads to acceptance, and then
Mm-hmm.
acceptance leads to inclusion. You know what I'm saying? It's like we can't just jump to inclusion if people don't understand how to accommodate autistic individuals. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So we got to start somewhere, and it's still a long road ahead with advocating, and it's a tireless job.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even a job, that's part of my life. Like, I had a couple people ask me, like, "So do you do this for a living?" I'm like, "No, I'm a mom. This is my life. This is my son's life." You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't
Right.
get on social media and do this for clout. I don't do it for retweets. I don't do it for likes. I don't do it for follows. I do it because it's for Levi. It's to
Mm-hmm.
instill in him that, the person that loves you the most supports you the most. And that's always what I wanted for him to understand, that no matter what else happens outside of the safety of our home, you know that your mom got your back 1,000%. So after that, restrictions started
Yeah.
kind of lessening, and
Right.
outdoor events started coming. So
Mm-hmm.
I started picking back up doing vending events. I did one in Camden, and what a lot of people don't know is, with Camden, they're going through the same type of things that Philly is going through, like shutting down the libraries. There's really not a lot of access to reading for younger kids.
Okay.
So I always try to support Camden a lot, because it's kind of, to me, Camden is like an extension of Philly. I
It
mean, they're
is.
literally right across the
It is.
bridge,
Yep.
and you still get that Philly vibe even though you're in Jersey.
And you just cross the bridge.
Right.
Right.
So it really means a lot to really just be a part of the community because they support me so much.
Hmm.
It's only right to give back. And I really did a lot. We did a community event where we had people donate shoes.
Hmm.
We collected over 1,000 pairs of shoes, which in turns that turns into a profit, which that money then helps families to get housing, clothing, food,
Nice.
any other necessities that's necessary that we all take for granted. I did a event just for authors, and I was listen. Any of y'all know me? I hate public speaking, and I know it doesn't look like
Yeah,
I'm nervous, but my anxiety is always through the roof. But I get up in front of people and
I
talk,
get
right?
it. I get it.
But it was very liberating to get up there and tell my journey of why I became a writer and why I wrote, these books and created these characters. It's really just Levi is my why. That's my driving force of who I am. And I always say this no matter what interviews that I do or events that I do, that little boy has changed my life um completely. Like
Hmm.
the woman that I am now, this wasn't the same person before, I became a mom. This definitely was not me in my 20s.
Hmm.
It was just all about me being selfish,
Yeah,
and as we all were in our 20s, the world
that's what it's
revolves
about.
around us.
Yes,
Right. Right. And then as
that's
you
what it's
get older,
about.
you figure out what's really important and
Right.
what's not really important and what not to get all, you know, kind of pick and choose your battles as you get older. It's like, I don't really got the energy to be wasting on that. That's not even important anymore. But when we were in our 20s, we were like, no, first of all, hold up.
You ain't telling me this. I'm gonna do
Right.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Right. So yeah, he's completely changed me. He makes me so proud every single day. And you see my updates on Twitter, how he's such a fearless kid. I was saying this to a friend the other day that he's so grounded and so
Hmm.
confident at 8. I said, they're not ready for this kid when he hits 15, 17, 18. I said, because he's going to be a force to be reckoned with because he's so sure of himself. And
Yeah,
he'll tell you straight up if he don't want to do something or he don't want to speak to you.
yeah.
Or he already telling little girls at school, like, listen, I'm not your boyfriend. I don't like you.
That will be helpful years from now, son. Please keep that up because we don't want
Exactly.
the BS when we get older. Right.
Right.
Teach them
Right.
right.
Yes.
Teach them right.
Bring it back of being honest. We don't play these little girls.
I love when you call him a little Tobias Jr. because the more you show me his back to school haircuts or when he get his hair done, I'll be like, well,
Yeah.
if there's somebody you do want him to be a role model with is Tobias because as a community oriented person as he is and as a gentleman as
Right.
he likes to show himself as, I think that's a good role model because I think Tobias is a very proud black man and I think that you should definitely look up to someone like that if you're going to look up to anybody
Right.
in the public structure that's an athlete. I think Tobias
Right.
is a good role model, but yeah.
Yeah,
And he's a cute
absolutely.
kid. He's a cute kid. You also did a fashion show, didn't you? Or something?
Yes. So yeah, so October, I don't know if a lot of people know, but October is National Anti-Bullying Month. There's
Okay.
so many things that go in
Yes.
October. I know
There
everyone is
is
so yeah, I mean, I know it's mostly for breast cancer
breast
awareness,
cancer.
but also it is anti-bullying month.
Yes.
So the organization that I'm a board member, which is called No Bullying Me, I'm a board member on it. So we came up with the idea, well, actually, our CEO came up with the idea of creating a fashion show in the
Mhm.
midst of what's going on in Philly. There's a lot of violence, a lot of it just seems like it's a dark cloud on the city
Yeah.
right now.
Yep.
We wanted to do something to empower the youth and
Right.
kind of give them, that positive reinforcement. So what we did was not only did we have, kids as the models, we also had young entrepreneurs. So these kids, they've written books, they have a t-shirt line, makeup line, just I felt like a proud mom. Like to me, all of them was my kids. I'm like, I'm so
Yeah.
proud of y'all. So I had the opportunity during the fashion show to get up and present awards to all of the young entrepreneurs.
Oh,
Just to let them know that, we're proud of you. So they got a certificate from the entire board in
nice.
recognition of all their hard work as entrepreneurs. Cause it's tough out here, but I also wanted to let the parents know you're doing an amazing job to instill hard work and building your own brand at such a young age and
Yep.
being ambitious,
Hmm.
where it's very easy to just in the midst of everything not instill those values in your child. And that's something to be acknowledged, you know what I'm saying, especially
Yeah.
within the Black community. we really need to uplift each other more, because that crabs in the barrel
Barrel thing.
mentality
Yeah.
is really one of the most toxic things in our community. Like, we really need to get back to that village mentality, looking out for one another and giving back to the community and making sure people are okay. Like, what resources are needed, what's being lacked in our communities right now. It's like the era of where everyone is very selfish and self-centered a lot
Yep.
of times.
Yeah. Look at me.
And
Look
if
at me.
people,
Instagram world. Yeah. Hmm.
right, social media really has played an integral part in creating the matrix, like I like to call it, like the matrix. Like,
Hmm.
you get plugged in and then you think what you see is really reality, and it's really not. Like,
Mm-mm.
and then when people do good, like, quote unquote charity stuff, they got to record everything. Like, that's not the point of charity.
Right.
Charity is because you genuinely want to make sure people who are without have what they
Yeah.
need. You know what I'm saying? But you've seen it, AJ. Like, we see it on Twitter all the
All the
time. We
time.
see it on, so Instagram, Facebook, of how people don't have good intentions. They do it because, oh, this is going to bring traffic to my page, or this is going to get me followers or likes or whatever. But at the end of the day, people can look through the BS and know when you're genuine
Hmm.
and you're helping people,
Hmm.
or you're just doing it for clout. And we see that definitely on Twitter. We see that. It's just like, well, what are
The
your
show and tell.
intentions? Like, what was the,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? So that's really what it really just comes down to, is just making sure that we uplift each other. But it starts with the youth. So I was very emotional at that fashion show, because it was so many smiles. You couldn't tell
Hmm.
these kids that they was just like, listen, I'm looking fly on the runway. And
Yeah. Yeah.
just to have Levi there with me, and to any chance I get to just give him the spotlight and just show everyone, how much I love my child and how amazing he is and how special he is to me. I'm always going to do that. You know what I'm saying?
I don't want to get
Then
you too
after,
emotional too. I just want to interrupt, but the milestone you said that he recently just had, you shared it, and I wanted you to say exactly what that was because it's a big deal for an autistic young gentleman to cross over that language barrier. What was the most recent thing you just? I know you were proud about it, but I just want you to say it here, like what with Levi
um,
that he had just done, because you were just like, you don't understand why this is really important for a child that autism when they speak like when they speak in full sentences. But there was something else I know you had just said, and I thought maybe you might remember. I might let you just keep talking. It might come to you, but I know you just posted
was
about it.
it, was it about him being discharged from his behavior support?
Yes, yes, that's what I wanted
Yeah.
you. Yeah,
Okay.
because that was a big deal. Because I feel like that's something for you to pop your collar about. Because that boy is coming along in a developmental way that I know you are proud of. Because it's not just about just the charity thing; it's the fact that it's helping him develop.
Yeah. So I recently had a meeting with his behavior support coordinator, Rebecca. And we've been with Rebecca, oh my God, almost 4 years. It's been like some switch up with team members and stuff,
Mm,
because it's always a high turnover rate
yeah.
within that field of supporting, autistic kids. But we've been consistently with her for the last like 3.5, almost 4 years. So she came over to the house, because Levi also has home sessions after school, twice a week as well, to work on skills and stuff.
Hmm.
Excuse me. And so she hit me with, well, we're going to discharge Levi December 23rd from behavior support services. And Levi will be fine. I honestly, I cried. I on and off, I have been very emotional the last couple weeks since we had that conversation. Only because, like I told his therapist the other day, I said, what a lot of people don't know is I don't have, as well as I can network with people, and there's a whole bunch of people I do talk to on a
Hmm.
daily basis on social media or within the community. Personal wise, Spin has been the backbone of supporting me and Levi, and that was through like some of the darkest times, coming out of a very abusive, mentally, verbal, and physical relationship, a very toxic relationship. Being undiagnosed with PTSD for 5 years until finally getting an official diagnosis, and with anxiety, but
Hmm.
also having to put all of that aside to make sure my son needed what he needed,
Yep.
and they were there. You know what I'm saying? So
And what was
I'm
the
not
name
going
of
to
it
do
again?
this.
Spin? What'd you say?
Yeah, SPIN. And SPIN stands for Special People in the Northeast. So they only service
Okay.
autism families in the Northeast area. So everyone from like the greater Northeast all the way down to like Mayfair
Okay.
and Frankfurt area.
Okay.
Yeah. They're one of really honestly one of the best agencies to have if you're looking to get your child diagnosed, support services. Because listen, as far as like all his services from his outpatient therapy, his child psychologist, his behavior support coordinator, his TSS, all of that is from SPIN. They provided all of
Mm,
that for him.
mm.
Even through the pandemic, when the school district was not reaching out to a lot of special needs, special education families, Spin was constantly checking in with us to make sure that we were okay. His um his outpatient therapist. Normally we're back to every 2 weeks with her, but during the pandemic it was every week she wanted to check in to make
Yeah.
sure
How he
that
was
we were
doing.
okay.
Good.
And I was in between therapists, so not only was she, doing sessions for Levi, but she was also doing sessions for me as well, which I
Good.
really truly appreciated that.
Good.
It's going to be hard because I mean today is what the 24th, so it's like 19 days. We are officially um going to be saying goodbye to them, and I'm not going to do this
No, no,
because I'm
no.
already
We're gonna move on, but I just wanted you to say that because that to me, I feel like we talk so much
yeah,
about what you've been doing, but I feel like that's
yeah,
important because come next year is gonna be another milestone. So that's why I say I'd rather
yeah,
you like toot your horn a little bit like that because you've
right,
survived that. Because I think we are.
right,
Remember, I told you I said you were in line for good things, and that's before we even really talk like that. Like you and me haven't even really had a hangout yet, and we will. I'm gonna get out
right.
of it, but I'm not there yet. I'm gonna
Because the
get there
Mike the
though.
Mike Scott party don't count.
No, no, because that was a given, right? Exactly. That was a given, and now that he's no
Right.
longer part of the team, it's like I'm glad we did that. But yeah, like I
Yeah.
feel like as a mother, you should pop your collar a little about that. And then,
Thank you.
before we even move on to another question, because I don't want to get you too emotional, what do you think is the thing that's hindering people from, or do you think there's growth in the autism awareness in the community now that you feel like you've been doing a lot more work since the quarantine ended? Do you feel like a lot more people are becoming more, like you said, knowledgeable, or do you feel like there's still kind of this fear of the unknown that people still don't understand it? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you notice that, or do you notice more like I feel like people are starting to understand what mothers and what parents go through, and how it doesn't have to be a burden on the black people. It can be something that can also strengthen you as an individual as well as your child.
That's a great question. I'm kind of torn because I feel like there's been a lot of progress with knowing what autism is and awareness of it. I still think we have a lot to go, only because where my heart lies is with the Black and brown community, and I feel like it needs to be more of a spotlight because the numbers are rising
Right.
within our community with our kids being diagnosed. There
Mm-hmm.
needs to be adequate support, not just for other demographics, not for other cultures,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the other demographics have access to, that needs to be
Funnel
universal
down.
for everybody, and it's not right now. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? The flip side of it is um I really do feel like a lot more businesses and places where you can take your kids to have fun, they have become more inclusive and understanding that it's more than just turning down the music or turning down the lights. Sometimes you need a designated, day just to bring your kids
Mm-hmm.
that are on the spectrum. So that I can appreciate. And I tell people this, as much as it's a love-hate relationship with the city, and we're at an all-time high with homicides and everything, we're actually one of the very few cities that has so many resources, and that's excluding the Eagles
Yeah.
Autism Foundation. We have so many organizations here that help in different areas of support for
Mm-hmm.
families, that if you leave Philly and go to, I'll just keep it real. Even if you leave and go to Montgomery County or Bucks or Delaware County, or you leave the state and go to Delaware, Maryland, Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
there's not a lot of support. It's not, and that's the very alarming thing, is that
Yeah.
each state has its own entity. Like you go to Cali, there's hardly anything out there for resources. You go to down south, it's kind of iffy. Um, so the blessing in disguise in this city, because we're very multicultural, very diverse in this city.
Mm-hmm.
You have so many different organizations. They're smaller and they don't get the attention like the Eagles Autism Foundation or the other nationally known
Mm-hmm.
organizations, but they're doing God's work. They're in the trenches helping these families that need it the
Absolutely.
most and providing services.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was a multi-billionaire, that would be where a lot of my money would go to going back into the community and helping a lot of these organizations that need resources, which is the main thing is money, so that they can continue to support, because it does take a lot of money and resources
Yeah.
to support our kids. So I kind of see it half and half. I do see a lot of progression with the awareness and inclusion, but then on the flip side, you always got those people who got something ignorant to say, and that's just learned behavior of not being
Yeah.
taught about being empathetic, sympathetic,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding that all of us were born, different for a reason. All of us can't be the same. All neural being neurodiverse should be celebrated. It should not be looked down upon. Um, but we just got to keep working. It's a tireless job, but I'm in it for life. You know what I'm saying? I'm a life membership and trying to get our kids seen, and especially our Black kids. This is no, and when I say that, I want to for anybody who's going to be watching this, it's not that I'm anti-white, so don't
No.
even get that
No.
twisted. But
No.
it's the fact that, because if anybody knows me, I'm very inclusive with everybody. I don't care where you come from, what you look like,
Absolutely.
what your skin complexion is. But
Yeah.
when I see a big disparity between the Black community and getting services for their kids versus, you know with white people,
Mm-hmm.
and especially the upper
Yeah. I was gonna say
middle
wealthy.
class,
Yep.
where they have, more access than, say, like a single mom that lives, below the poverty line. That
Mm-hmm.
access level is not there, and it needs to even out, not this or this, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Right. Yeah, you're right. And I'm learned now more with autism too is that I didn't know that there's different levels of it to the point where
hmm
there are adults who like all the things that and you see the comedians that tease on autism because you can tell it's still a struggle for most, especially in our community, because we're very quick to make a joke to deal with any kind of trauma or something we don't understand.
right.
At times it is okay to laugh, but there's a time after a while where you don't want to target a certain audience that struggles with trying to be visible when all they you have to realize too that autistic people are even smarter than the average person really. But you're right. I
Absolutely.
mean, now that I know that that's a possibility and it doesn't have to be something that's looked at as a deficient as much as I think just anything in life, if you're a new parent, if you're a young parent, you're going to need a level of patience no matter what. It's just,
Right.
it's up now because your child has a level, like you said, a level of neurotransmitters that are, it's a different path as opposed to a quote unquote normal person. But I learned that there are different levels, and that's one thing I learned because I remember telling you on Twitter I thought it would be in the mental category. You said it's not a mental health illness, and so because I was on my pedestal about how mental illness also needs attention because I think that's half the reasons why we still got these fucking shootings on top of the fact that we got guns so readily. But whatever,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get off
Right.
of that. But rounding to my next question, you personally, I've noticed physically, and not that you weren't cute before, Missy, but you got this whole look that just came out of freaking nowhere. And I said, I'm glad because we said last year, and I think I even told you, I said, you make sure you take care of yourself and all this stuff. And
Yeah.
did you? I mean, girlfriend, vacation. I mean, she got the majungas out when she was on the beach. Her hair was down. Y'all, anybody who's seen our linked up, my very first pilot was with her, and I kept calling her Lisa Bonet, even though she hates that shit. But yet her handle was Denise Huxtable for a while, so she knew what I was talking about. But I'm just glad to say that you have been looking good, and
Oh, thank you, sis.
I'm very
You
proud of
make me
you.
blush.
I'm very proud of you because look, it's a sign to me when everyone has that kind of glow and it's not from a dude necessarily. It could be, but I ain't getting your business. But I feel like you had a whole different vibe this year. I think you were
Yeah.
determined to not look tired, to just be like, yo, I'ma just bring out what's natural. I
Yeah.
mean, she got her lips popping. She got these headshots that I was just like, what? And then I was just like, who's the photographer because I ain't got the boldness to be all posing in a teddy. Although you look great, but I'm just saying. I was like, "Yo, Chante," and it was hard not to be like, "Damn." When I was on Twitter a couple times, how? I mean, the question is, How are you doing that? What made you finally just go to sheer? That's it. I'm taking care of myself. I'm gonna look cute. I'm gonna make an attempt. Or did it just kind of just one day was like, fuck it. I just want to just get pretty. I just want to, you coming out of quarantine. They like, we out now. We outside. When did you feel it? Like, when did you suddenly go, I'm gonna be cute? Tur.
Oh, thank you, sis. I want to say probably starting this year. I
Yeah.
want to honestly, I think like right around my 39th birthday. My therapist, they all been harping on me about self-care, taking care of yourself. You do so much for your son, you do so
Yep.
much for everyone else. You're not taking care of you. And you know what's crazy when you mention the glow? I look back at like when pictures pop up on Facebook memories, and I you can see me looking physically tired. Like there's
Yeah.
dark circles around my eyes.
Yeah.
I look I'm faking a smile. You don't like I look happy, but when I look at the date, I'm like, yeah, I was not
Mhm.
where I am now mentally. I just think as women, we have to be able to get up in the morning, look at ourselves in the mirror, and be like, yo, that's a bad bitch. I don't care what nobody says.
Exactly.
That person that I'm looking at in the mirror is beautiful and she deserves the most. And I think once I figured out that coming, and I go back to coming out of that relationship and I was broken for a very long time. And I'm very transparent about that.
Yeah.
Like I didn't love myself the way I love myself now. Like I love myself so much. No man on this earth can love me as much as I love myself. If they
Well,
do decide to love me, that's an added bonus, but I love myself. You
right.
know what I'm saying? So that glow that you see, that's because it was like, I am a good person. I'm not going to dim my light no more in fear of blinding people. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I think I was struggling with that for a long time. Like I knew the person that I was destined to be, but I was scared. I was really scared to embrace that. Now I don't even care. I'm about to be 40 in a few months. I don't care anymore. It's either you gonna love me or just leave me alone. That's just where I'm at with it. Um, so that's really where that transformation came, and I just got more comfortable in my skin. I got more loving my body, because and that's the other thing, like we get on social media and we see these women, and I don't believe in
Talk
body
about it.
shaming. I don't believe in body shaming, but it's very easy for us as women to get caught up in what men find attractive as far as body types and skin complexions and whatever. It's like at the end of the day, you gotta love you. You gotta love what you may think is flaws. It could be something extremely beautiful to a man. You know what I'm saying? But you got to love yourself no matter what.
Mhm.
Finding validation in these apps that really don't have any substance is a deadly combination, because you're not going to get the real. You're not going to get what you feel you deserve as validation. You got to validate yourself. And when
Right.
you do that, nothing that you see on social media or anybody say something, it don't matter, because you're
Mhm.
like, okay, you may not love it, somebody else will, but guess what? I
Yeah.
love me regardless. So once you get to that point, um, it just becomes more easier. And I'm so grounded now at 39 than I was when I was 29 or 19. Definitely 19. I mean, body dysmorphia issues,
Yeah. 19. I don't even
very
remember.
insecure. Yeah, like being very insecure of like my fluctuation in weight and having big boot, like everything that as a teenager you really struggle with, that kind of carries over into your 20s. And
Yeah.
then once you kind of get to your 30s, it's kind of like, listen, this is me, I ain't changing nothing on my if
Right.
I did. And if I do decide to change something, it's because I want to, not because it's going to attract a man, or this is for clout to flaunt in front of other women or whatever. Like, see, you can't afford this. Like, but that why are you doing it then? Like, if you're doing it to flaunt, if
You're right
you're
though.
doing it, but a lot of females do that. They be like, well, you can't afford a BBL, so what you even talking? Like, it says you did it for the wrong reasons. If you're doing it for clout chasing, that's a very expensive way to be doing some clout chasing. But you look good.
Shoot, hell, you can't afford it. Let's be honest. You can't afford you. So you sit there worrying about men. You know you can't afford that look for real, for real. I mean, you know, that's why you have Kmart and CVS to do the same look, just on a lower budget.
Right,
I don't walk around with no
exactly.
Louis purses. Are you kidding me? The hell? I got a Gordon Cartrell dress. What you talk about? No, you're right though. I mean, I'm glad you hit that because that's why I wanted to stress that specifically with this 5 questions because I felt like that was important after last year when we were first starting to talk a little more, and even just when being on Twitter, it's just like I found myself tripping for a while, and I know sometimes I can tell when I'm PMSing because I'm extra sensitive or I'm extra attentive to all that crap,
Right.
and then I tell myself, chill out, drink some water. What they say, drink some water, bitch. Drink some water. That's all it is. But no, but I'm proud of you and I think that's a good sign, especially because like I say, I'm 43, so it's like when you get into the 40s, it gets even easier to not tolerate a lot of the BS that goes on.
Right.
Especially because
Right.
when you mostly meet people through like we did through social media, it's like you definitely want to see if the real person is exactly how they are on social media. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because all that other stuff that the IG, just because they got better lighting, just because they probably starving themselves, just because you know what I'm saying, like their circumstances
Right.
are always different. So you're right. I got to check myself because I find myself getting caught up in that every now and then. Just as a single female, and you have to realize like
Right.
it's still the same. Like it doesn't really matter. You know, it's a
Right.
dressed up way of showing you on a good day on a highlight as opposed to everything else. And I've been mostly
Right.
on the affirmation stuff. I don't know about you, but the affirmations to me, I feel like they ring more now than they did when I used to just throw them out there. You know, I feel
Right.
like some stuff like you know when people talk about like self care and self care Saturday, that's not just a phrase to me anymore because I
Right.
do feel like it's important, especially when you get older and you're just tired and everything hurts.
Right.
You have to take care of yourself. So, but
Right.
moving on because we're in the holidays now, unfortunately, because it happened so damn fast. So I found a trend that I kept hearing every year, and I even gave into it. But I think it's funny. But the term cuffing season is entertaining to me. But then I find that I don't. Well, maybe they don't tell me, but I don't know anybody that really partakes in it. Do you believe in cuffing season? Have you partook in it before, or is it just one of those things you people just throw out there, like the gray sweatpant thing? Because I'm obsessed with the gray sweatpant thing. You know.
I think for me, it's just a hashtag trending thing. I've never really participated in it.
Yeah,
Um, I just think it's funny. It's
it
it's, it's
is.
really funny because you'll see the stuff like, okay, is big guy season now, and I'm just like, y'all are hilarious. Like, so you mean like no one loves you during the spring and summer? It's
That's
only the fall and
it.
winter
Look,
time?
that's why I love the girl that I followed on TikTok. I think her name was Mona Swank, and she was just like, right around Halloween is when you start thinking about cuffing season, because come May,
Yeah,
March, April, they gone.
yeah, yeah. Soon
Cuffs
as the
are
weather get warmer.
unleashed. I know it's all, but also too, I have Let me. Daggone, lost my screen. We gonna cut this. But my other question is, have you been? Oh wait, no, I did ask that. Sorry. Do you have any plans? Any plans for 2022? We were talking about we're going to do more things, but do you feel like now you want to? And I don't know what the state of the COVID restrictions will be next year. Hopefully, not a big deal. But 2022, do you want to travel more, or do you want to still go ahead and focus more on what you've been doing with the projects you're doing now, a new book, or do you feel like next year you're going to kind of just let things come to you? Like, how do you feel like you're going to approach 2020 as far as like vacation plans or the future?
Definitely plan on taking a vacation in April of next year. Not sure where I'm going,
Mm,
but I am currently working on a book now. So I started character development and doing a rough draft so far. So I'm very excited about this next book.
good.
Um, as far as events and stuff, I'm gonna just let it come. I'm always definitely once the spring comes, I'm definitely going to get back into doing like vending events and author events. And I definitely want to get back into doing like live book readings with kids because I haven't done that in 2 years
Mm,
because of COVID. Everything's been virtual. And you
mm,
kind of lose the essence when you got to read on a Zoom call versus
yeah,
like when you're there with the kids.
right.
So I'm hoping that that can come back next year. I can, do some more, intimate events with the kids as far as reading and doing. I really want to do some writing workshops to
Nice.
really encourage young writers, spark that seed
Mhm.
of, you can do this. It doesn't happen overnight. As you grow and you progress in your writing, it's going to change as you're getting older.
Mhm.
Things I wrote as a teenager, I don't write about now as an adult,
Yep. Yep.
and then you kind of find your style, you kind of find your personality in your writing, and just be unapologetic, be fearless in what you're writing. If you're writing about, your life, you're writing about your feelings, or even if it's just a fictional story, just don't be afraid to push the envelope and
Mhm.
push that boundary line of what you're writing. Because you just never know who you're going to inspire when they read your work,
Absolutely.
so I
Creative
definitely want
writing
to
is the
do that.
thing. Yeah, creative writing
Yeah.
was always my favorite subject. That was one of the electives I had, I remember in high school, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
that and music to me are things you should always push on children because to me it's the easiest way
Right.
to deal with life,
Right.
and poetry. Are you gonna do another book of poetry? Because look, the poetry you gave me, I'm just like I gotta be in the mood for it. Chante wrote erotic poetry. Shout out.
um Erotic poetry, I'm not sure, but I have been brainstorming about writing another um poetry book, just very, very transparent. I think I want to tap more into mental health and what
Mm,
my struggles are every day as a mom. So I
okay.
may sneak that in there next year. I wrote a project this year that was heavily influenced by Levi when Levi's dad was locked up for the last 8 or 9 months.
Mm,
The project is going to be called Father's Day, and I'm going to try to release it around Father's Day of next year. The only thing that I'm trying to decide is if I'm going to make it into a book or do a short film. I really want to do a short film, which means I got to reach out to a couple of my colleagues that would know someone that they can refer me to do like a little short story
mm.
film. And so in between me working on the next book, I'm going to try to release that next year. But everything else, I want all of us to stay healthy, stay safe. Hopefully, the COVID restrictions won't ramp up because of this new variant that just came into the country last
Omarion.
week. Yeah, Marion, the Marion variant.
Let me stop. I just love that joke, but I shouldn't joke, but I'm just saying. It is funny how,
Yeah,
because we've been tearing up words in this whole quarantine. Like, ain't nobody said pandemic right, so I just started adapting panorama. 'Cause
right.
we've been jacking it up. I mean, Omicron is not going to. First, as I heard Omicron or Omnicron or whatever it's called, I instantly thought of Transformers. I said, they named this thing after a Decepticon.
Right.
We
I'm
just
like, is
coming
this an
up.
Autobot or a Decepticon?
I'm starting to be offended because if that thing is slightly black, I'm gonna be offended. Be calling this thing Shaniqua Van or something. I'll be like, that's racist. But yeah, you're right. You're right. We don't know what's gonna happen. We know that this thing
Right,
is like SARS. It just keeps evolving, and that's how this whole thing started. So yeah, you're right.
right, right,
You're right. But all right, we're gonna have to talk about the obvious because tomorrow is another Eagles day before they give us a break and do the bye. Thank God, because their bye was late this year.
right.
Woo, Jesus. Okay, so I'll be honest with Jalen. I'll give him a C grade for this whole season. He can't really
Yeah.
control a lot of the stuff that's been going on, but there are issues with the way he throws at times. It's
Mm-hmm.
not very
Yeah.
accurate. I agree that he's definitely controlled the running as opposed to just letting the pocket collapse and running just because.
Right.
So I think he's made some strides, but we obviously know that we don't want to see them at 5-7. Everybody and their mama seem like they at 5-7 in our division. So once
Right.
again, we gonna just be hoping and praying that. I mean, I don't really even care if they make the playoffs. To tell you the truth, because we all know as fans, this year wasn't supposed to be anything but an experiment.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
but there have been people who've made impactful growth. Honestly, compared to the bad stuff. In my opinion, I feel like there's been mad growth. Honestly, like we spoke before with Devontae, who do you feel
Mm-hmm.
like has made kind of a showing despite this poor record for the Eagles?
Oh, on the team, on the offense side,
Either
Watkins
way,
has really been, huh?
either side.
Oh, okay. Offensive, I'll do both sides of the ball. Offense, Watkins has really been showing a lot of sparks here and there. And but you can't really blame him on some of the throws because it goes back to Jalen not throwing it accurately a lot of the times.
Right.
And I love Jalen, but and the thing is, people fail to realize within our fan base is that you can still love a player and criticize him.
Critique him. Yeah,
Just because you
exactly.
criticize him does not mean you don't like him. It's
Right.
just the potential that he has, and it's like it's frustrating
Frustrating.
because it's so many variables going on that it's not working in his favor,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not helping when you're throwing picks into double coverage when
How about it?
don't please stop trying to do that in the end zone. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm trying to
Jalen, you're
throw the
killing me.
players free. Doesn't work
Right.
all the time.
So I would say Watkins, definitely Goddard. Ever since Zach left the team, you see that emergence of Dallas really making some incredible catches and plays. Um, Defensive, definitely Avante. Slay has been killing it. Darius Slay has really been killing it.
He picked it up. He picked it up a lot.
Who else? Josh Sweat,
I love
he's
Josh.
really been, yeah,
I love that dude. He's
yeah,
hot.
he's been balling. I'll tell you who's been getting on my nerves. Derek Barnett and those, we're on third and out, and you got roughing the passer, and then we got a 15-yard penalty.
I
What,
knew this was
Derek, get off
coming.
the team. Just go on COVID restrictions or something. Please do something, like, cause you killing us every time. It was like you remember how we used to crack jokes about Jason Peters and like, oh,
Yes.
here we go,
Here we go.
false
False
start,
start.
5 yard 5 yard penalty. Now roughing the passer, personal foul.
Derek.
I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
Derek, you are killing us, bro. Like, what are you doing?
He wasn't always that bad. That's why I was confused. Like I'm like, ever since his injury, it seemed like he got like either slower with
After
the
this,
mechanics.
after the Super Bowl,
Super
it's been a
Bowl.
slow decline in his performance and more penalties. Like, it was
Right.
really getting on my nerves.
Yeah.
But I agree with you with your grade on Jalen. Like, I'll give him a C.
Hmm.
He'll show flashes of really playing great ball. But then you got an entire rookie coaching staff, which I think we're the only team in the league who is like everybody's at
Everybody.
least 40 or younger.
Hmm.
We don't have no veteran except for Stoutland, but he's the offensive line coordinator.
Hmm.
But
He's not even the O coordinator, right? Yeah.
yeah. So other than that, it's like in this off season, we need to get some veteran coaching staff in there because Sirianni don't know what he's doing. Our offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, they just winging it at this point. I'm like, it got to the point, AJ, like I wanted Schwartz back. And you know how much I was trashing him on Twitter. I'm like, what's Schwartz doing? Can he come back?
I think I heard that. I saw that several times. I said, "Yeah, y'all asking for Schwartz. We didn't want Schwartz either. What's going on?" But you're right. I mean, a lot of us went backwards at times too during the season because since week one, when they played so like clean that it was almost like,
Right.
"Hey, it's just like any other week one that's great," and then you think after that it's gonna be like that, and it's just nothing but a
Mm-hmm.
stumble. And
Right.
I actually made the painful decision to decide to just go back and watch every game on YouTube. And honestly, like the play wasn't necessarily as bad as just the times that Jalen did decide to leave the pocket, he would either be a hair off on his throw or overthrow. Or, and
Right.
the O line honestly has stepped up shockingly because I thought the O line was going to be a problem. But I don't even think it's them now, it's him. So he has to decide when he feels trusting to just stay in the pocket. And he's shown that he can do it, but he hasn't done it every game. What the hell
Right.
happened in the Giants game? I have no idea. Like that, I don't have. They have no excuse why they lost that game at all. No excuse other than they just stopped running the ball. I don't care how many times because Miles apparently is always going to be hurt with his hammy, so you might as well just run him until he can't run no more. You know,
Right.
and trust
Right.
Boston because Boston was supposed to be the giant killer. So why did we not see him as much? That I mean, it's almost like they outsmart themselves on the coaching
Right.
staff, and they need to stop doing that because that was the
Right.
problem. That's why that whole game didn't
Mm-hmm.
flow. I'm like, why did y'all
Right.
take it to the second half to decide to run? And then when you did, you still didn't put him into the last minute, and then he only got one touchdown out of all of that.
Yeah. And
Like,
then
trust is hard in this team.
it doesn't help when two times that we probably could have just won the game, Rager drops
Yeah,
or just like
just no
perfectly
outcome.
thrown balls. Like, you can't
Yeah,
blame that on Jalen for that throw. it was right there. Like,
Right
and,
there.
and even on one of the sports shows, they was like, he's got his hands out like he's ready to catch a beach ball, and the football is this.
You're
Why catch
right.
your hands?
I could even tell in Jalen Hurts' motion that he was even trying to say like nigga, like
Right,
he's trying to say
right,
like I don't know how many times like how I can throw it to you easier because I think he
right,
purposely even slowed down his delivery so that it could be
right.
straight because I think he knew in that moment if I miss him it's my fault. But that time it wasn't, and it's exactly what someone tweeted right after. That's exactly what happened with Carson and JJ in that Detroit game.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they lost that game because all he had to do out of all the horrible choices that he made throwing, that was the one that was on point. And what happened?
Mm-hmm.
JJ overjumped it or overthought it, and it bounced right
Yep.
off him.
And then
So
here's my thing. You have Devontae. You have
right,
Devontae who has been balling this year. Why would you put the fate of the game into
in
Rager, who is
Rager.
not consistent enough to be the game winning person to make that catch? That should have been Devontae. And Devontae's been pissed. I don't know if anybody's been
Yeah,
paying
I
attention to
heard
that. He's been like severely pissed.
he should
I'm
be
like,
because he
yeah,
can
and
run
he
the
should
routes
be.
better. He's the one that can show
Right.
all him, Greg Ward, JJ, all them. This is how you
Mm-hmm.
run a route. This is how you
Right.
get separation. Now, mind you, he even came out just the other day and said that he didn't get away in time to get to that point of the goal line, and that's partially why the ball didn't go his way. Now, for him
Okay.
to even own up on that, because I thought he was just going to be like, that's just how the cookie crumbles, but he was more like, no, I didn't break away in time. So the fact that
Okay.
they actually sat and filmed and he realized he's like, oh, that's why it had come. And they're like, yeah, you didn't see that. He looked at you, but he said, no, fuck that. I ain't got that much time.
Right.
So
Right.
sometimes it helps to be accountable, but we all know that Devontae is the best. That's why they got him in the first round. And he's the only
Yeah.
first round they've gotten right in terms of wide receiver in a long time.
In a long time. Yep.
And I feel bad for Rager because I don't like kicking a horse when it's down because it's obvious that he's a weakness on this team. But
Yeah.
yet we still have JJ. So it's like it's not that easy for the Eagles to get rid of these oopsie, first round
Mm-hmm.
mistakes because,
Right.
NFL teams are too and it's too, I guess, easy and obvious to admit that they're wrong. But
Mm-hmm.
why keep
Right.
torturing these dudes? Like you're messing up their psyche. I mean, Aguilar had to go through it. Aguilar had that stellar year in the Super Bowl, and then he went backwards and resorted again, and then he fell
Mm-hmm.
with Carson. So it is a mental thing. If you
Right.
pull away from a wide receiver long enough, just like Greg Ward, Greg Ward was thrown in stupid situations this year, whereas before with Carson, he was always his go-to. If,
Yep.
if it wasn't
Yep.
what's his name that's no longer on the team, Fulgham. So
Yeah.
reps to me is really what the problem is. If you don't practice reps with a wide receiver and understand chemistry, you're never going to get it. But with Rager, it's just a different level of concentration that he is not attaining. And I feel horrible because it's one thing to be mad at him, but it's another thing when you see how dramatic we can be on the timeline and people want to kill this dude. And I just want to be like, yo, he's a wide receiver. They gonna drop balls. And I understand it. But at
Right.
the time, does it suck? Yes. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it did help Aguilar when they benched him. I felt like it did because he did
Yeah.
snap in for a little bit more before he hurt himself, and then that game was just lost. But I disagree with them saying that they don't think it's going to help, and I know they want to save face. Sirianni want to be everybody's best friend right now, but dude, that's
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to drop that crap next year because it doesn't help. Because the reality is, if these kids that are on Twitter tomorrow, they'll know that we saw some bullshit out there, and y'all could have won that game.
Mm-hmm. Right.
This is the
Yep.
time for them to just go hard and go home because these are all division wins. And the only person that scares me in the division besides the Cowboys, obviously, is Washington because now Washington got confidence. So
Yep.
I wouldn't be shocked if
Yep.
they lose that game either.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So realistically, as a fan, I mean, am I very much in this like blow up every damn Philly team because everybody's losing? Yes, I am. But I'm also grown enough to know that the Sixers been going through some crap as we see, and I'm glad they won last night. But it takes so much energy to be a fan right now. Like it's just hard to root for
Mm-hmm.
teams that just one time were
Yep.
good and now they just suck air out of you just watching a single event. So,
Right.
but I mean, all in all, you and me both know once the season is even wrapped, do we even know if they're going to keep Jalen is the question. To me, I'm not shocked if they don't, but I hate the fact that a brother doesn't get as much time as a white guy does. That's what really
Yeah.
hurts me. And I know people don't
Right.
want to talk about it. Most of the white fans probably were like, please don't go to race for everything. But I'm like, I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah.
they gave Vic more
Yeah.
time than they given Hurts. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that was because everybody was
Yeah.
getting tired of Donovan, not because, it was another black quarterback replacing, well, technically Cobb, but no
Yeah.
one cares about Cobb. But I'm just saying, like, Vic had more time. you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then Hurts, they already decided even before Hurts snapped the damn ball that he was not going to work. Remember all them stuff, that all that buzzing that came out before he even replaced Carson? You know,
Yeah.
like this kid ain't going to go nowhere. So
Right.
I don't know. I just hope I hope he just learns to just grow with it and be patient because Lord knows he's an old soul. You can already tell Hurts is not gonna be that typical. If they say that Carson was fragile, I think Hurts is definitely an old soul. I don't think he's so quickly to be like, well, that sucks. I suck. I think he's more just like, I just want to see what they gonna do because I'm ready no
Yeah.
matter what.
He's definitely mentally built for this city.
Yeah.
And that's not it's not an easy job to be a quarterback in this city that's obsessed with football. Like this is our number one,
Yep.
you know,
Maybe.
sport in the city. So, it's a very intimidating job to step into. And he's built for it. Carson just it's a shame how it just declined with him in the city, because I was on the Carson Wentz,
We both were.
wagon, you know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then it was just like I started seeing that decline, and then it was like, well, damn, all that stuff that they was talking about within the locker room,
Yeah.
there
Now it
had to
looks
be some
true.
truth to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
you're right.
right.
And I didn't want, again, I didn't want to pile on with that either. I didn't even want to embrace Hurts right away when he started like this year. But part of me knew, like, I get it now because if Carson didn't even want to try to have an exit interview, that dude, he was mentally destroyed. He's like, I'm out. Like, they're done
Yeah,
with me. I'm done with this city. I'm moving on. And he tries to
right.
be a nice guy about it because I don't really think he has jerk tendencies. I just think he's a type of person like he's A type. So he's like, if this isn't working, I'm wasting time. I need to go.
Yeah.
That's all that was. I think people read into every damn thing, but
Cause he
um,
didn't even did he even tweet like a goodbye thing to the fans? He was just out, right? I don't remember
eventually,
him tweet.
eventually he did. I think it was like way after all the attention went down, he did put something out. But
Okay.
yeah, it was
Okay.
like, I mean, but it wasn't like Ertz where he did it the next day, but he did
Yeah.
eventually do it because I'm sure partially was he was probably ready to just get settled and it's
Right.
weird because he had more of a social media presence when he was first in Indy than he did here ever. Other than just to
Mm-hmm.
promote his charities, he was like
Yeah.
showing himself like just driving around in one of them. I don't know what them things are, but I just said to myself, I'm like, all of a sudden now you want to talk on social media like you didn't do that
Yeah,
here.
I
So
noticed that. Yeah.
so he definitely must have felt more comfortable because he was with Reich and Frank Reich, but he's already
Yeah.
still showing signs that he's not going to change. Like he still has those tendencies to be like real happy feet and throw picks left and right, and people still making fun
Mm-hmm.
of him. But whatever. I mean, if he's comfortable there and being the same dude, then God bless him. But um,
Right.
you're right. Philly should never really make or break someone. I mean, you're a professional athlete. I mean, half
Right.
of the stuff that people say about you doesn't really exist technically because they're not in your face and they're not going to say anything.
Right.
And if they did, you'd be one of those like Vinny Velasquez had no problem going up in that person's face like, what you want to say? And they ain't got nothing to say after that because he was the first person to be like, oh, you think I'm scared? And then as
Right.
soon as you do it,
Right.
it's like, hey, relax. And
Right.
you have to realize they're under a lot of pressure. Like professional
Right.
athletes are not just sitting around twiddling their fingers. Like this is important to them as much as it is to us fans. You know,
Right.
I just think
Right.
the ones who pop back are the ones that probably shouldn't because at this point it doesn't really make anything worse and it makes you more accessible to drama. You know.
Exactly.
So, but we'll see what happens, girl. If you even watch, because I know you busy. I'm always thinking, I'm like, is Chante even watching games at this time? She be out
Oh,
and
listen,
about.
I be multitasking. When I was at the community event a couple weeks ago where I actually gave away 20 gift bags to families. So it had all three of my books, a superhero cape, superhero mask,
Oh,
stickers, fidget
mm-hmm.
spinners, crayons. So while I was sitting at my table, I was still like watching highlights or whatever they were posting about the game.
Yeah,
But it's a toxic relationship I have with the Philly teams. Like
been
we'll
hard.
lose and I'm still wearing my Eagles gear the next day.
Yeah,
Like, here we go.
yeah.
I mean, I can't escape it.
Yeah, we ride or dies. I mean, I still got my
Right.
backup teams. I'm still rooting for Lamar. I feel like there's still
Yeah.
teams that I want to at least make it. Thus far. But yeah, am I really jazzed about the Super Bowl next year? Not really. If somebody has a party, maybe. But yeah, it's
If
not going to be
if
as
the
exciting.
Ravens yeah, if the Ravens can make it out of the conference and the Cardinals can, then I'll watch the Super Bowl because they're very
That's a good
interesting
game.
teams to watch. I
That's a
mean, at least I just do not want Tom Brady back in the Super Bowl. Like, man, please just retire. Please.
please,
You're like
please.
40, 48 now. Come on.
Look, I get it. You're resilient. You love your game, but let some other kids play. Like you know what I mean? Like
Right.
I just feel
Right.
like someone like Lamar needs to prove that somebody from his background and from someone who is obviously respected, because you see, I
Yeah.
don't know if you saw what his old school just did for him, retired his number in his college. Not to saying they don't do that, but I just feel like for Lamar, visually as a black man, I feel like it's really
Right.
important for him to make such strides because he was an
Mm-hmm.
MVP. So it's not like he never had that
Right.
opportunity. But
Right.
I just want him to win. I want him to win so bad because I feel like the
Yeah.
NFL assumes that there's a certain type of player that should always be the face of the Super Bowl, and I feel like Lamar is the anti that, which I love.
Right.
He's
Right.
he's only going to be himself. You know what I mean? As much
Right.
as I get mad because that Negro keep being sick, and I wish he would, if he's not vaccinated, I don't know what the freak he's doing, but
Yeah.
I just hope he's well enough that he can at least say "f you" to the NFL and just be like, I can do this. You know,
Yeah.
I lost half my squad, and the Negro's still up here with the Lombardi. What, you know?
Yeah, because
That's what I want.
I seen their injury report on Twitter, and I was like, "Is anybody left on the team?"
Do you see it? Like somebody said, it looks like a concert T-shirt because it does.
That's
It
what I'm
looks like
saying
the
before.
dates. It's
Right. But
bad.
that
I
was
mean,
that was us a couple years ago. Remember that? I was like, we really got 25 people on the IR list right now.
it was a
25.
joke. Like everybody kept saying, like the Eagles are the most like injured team out of, like nobody was basically like, that's why Carson was in the bare bones in that year because he was
Hmm.
literally throwing to nothing. You know.
Yeah, he had Target and Radio Shack players on the field. I was like, who is this?
And then the fact that he was actually not injured for once. That's what kills me about that whole season. The one freaking
Yep.
year he was
That
totally
one year. Right.
injured. And then he
Right.
barely made it through the second round. I mean, the first round because then he got a concussion. So it's like he can't win for losing. Like,
Right. Right. That
but
was heartbreaking. Oh,
that
that
was
broke my heart.
not only that because it was so early. Like I wish that he had at least played a full, at least most of the game. Like the fact he could
Right.
get up, like his head was ringing, and I felt so bad for him. I said, "This boy will never get past this injury prone thing," you know.
Yeah.
But hey, I say prayers for him in Indy. But at this point, like I said, I'm gonna root for this team till the wheels fall off. But you and me both, we tired.
Yep. We tired.
We
Yep.
just want to see some movement. And you know, to end this five questions, I'm very thankful that you are still doing the damn thing, taking care of yourself. And the end of this year to me should be, if anything more, but just forwarding everything that you said you were going to do this year into next year and much more, because at this point ain't nothing with this whole COVID thing going to change, but I just feel like our attitudes need to change. And just like we were
Right.
talking about how people in the community look at black youth, it's like we need to change the messaging amongst black folks, you know, with
Right.
our youth, because that's probably the
Right.
part of the problem.
Right.
We need to be on the same page with how people who are not black look at us, basically.
Right.
I'm at this
Right.
point where I'm just tired of the same kind of ideas kind of coming out, and then we all be shocked, you know, when all these rappers is getting killed left and right for no reason. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I feel like every
Right.
5 seconds somebody's getting shot, and it's always something stupid. Like it's not
Right.
really any reason why Young Dolph had to die. There's no reason why
Right.
half of these rappers are dead.
Right.
So we need to stop changing the messaging. Whether or not you decide to go home or not is irrelevant. You know,
Right.
you should be able to
Right.
go home. Granted, you ain't got to be walking around flossing all over Instagram. Maybe you should stop that. But
Yeah.
you want to go home and you want to do good. You should be able to do that.
Right.
So
Exactly.
the crabs in the barrel, you're like you said, it needs to die. You know, that's what needs to die is the crabs in the barrel.
Absolutely.
But God bless you, my dear Chante. We gonna talk, and hopefully, like I said, before the end of the year, we gonna get some boozy hot chocolate and ice skate, or even just hang out.
Yes, we need
Cause
to
it's
do
time.
that.
It's time. I'm gonna stop being antisocial sooner or later. YouTube, okay? But anyway, we gonna talk. God
All right.
bless. Give a kiss, a Levi for me. We'll talk soon.
I definitely will. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yes, thank you. Five questions with AJ. She shall return. Thank you for
Bye.
watching. Bye, girl.